Thank you for joining us on the Overcomers Overcoming podcast series, where we profile those who have overcome or those who are in the process of overcoming any life topic. We have three objectives with this podcast series. Our first objective is we want you to know that whatever you're experiencing in life, whatever you're encountering, you're not alone. We want to join you to let you know that we together can help you through whatever challenge you may have that at the time may seem too difficult to be able to overcome. Our second objective is to help you determine with a very confident resolve there are multiple solutions, multiple factors involved in any life encounter. It's a matter of thinking into and thinking through the life situation you are encountering to determine the various options, the various solutions that are available to you. Our third objective is to help you with critical thinking skills. If whatever you're experiencing is a result of a decision you made sometime in the past, such that if you had a life redo, you would make a different decision, we want to help you determine the objective facts and factors to evaluate to help you reach a more informed decision. I'm Ron Cooper, founder of the Cooper Culture. I'm with my wife and business partner, Marty. Together we are the Cooper Culture, and the Cooper Culture is sponsoring this podcast series. Marty and I are coming to you today to talk about the topic of mental health. Some of us were brought up in an environment where mental health took on a totally different connotation than what it is intended to mean. And Marty and I, during this podcast, are talking about our life experience. Neither one of us are certified clinicians, but rather we want to talk to you about our life experience. Marty, what are some takes that our listeners can gain from this?
Ron, as you were saying, you and I grew up in a period where mental health was, you're not smart, can't think right, you won't succeed. Your confidence with those thoughts from other people or words from other people just brought you down, and you soon believed it. And so we are here to try and help you go through. If you think that, know that there is hope on the other side of your lack of confidence.
We want to do everything we can to help you with positive thoughts and know that you are a person of high value, high worth, and we want for you to know that in yourself. Join us as we talk about this topic. Marty, let's talk about mental health. I'm coming from a perspective that it's my sense there are a lot of people who believe that the term mental health, mental disability, mental illness are all synonymous. I just have a sense that some people believe that anytime you talk about mental, there's always something negative about that. And I want to take some time to, I hope, through this podcast, through yours and my life experience, we can destigmatize or put some actual fact and life experience into the term mental health. Marty, there were times in my preteen life where I just felt that I was dumb, stupid, socially awkward, not really acceptable, didn't know where I fit, if I would fit, anything like this. There were topics I felt I did not do well in school. My grades reflected that. That all tended to compound itself to where, yeah, Ron, you really are stupid. I mean, there's a lot of indicators of that. I remember as a very young child, we had apparently I'm not sure if it's a psychiatric hospital, I'm not even sure what it was, but anytime that we came close to that location, I remember my father saying, we're nearing the nut house. And I wasn't sure what to make of that statement, the nut house. Okay, there's some people that are mentally ill. Is one way that I process that. There's something wrong with these people. And so anytime that I got a bad grade, anytime that I just felt that I'm not learning, anytime that something was said to or about me that I processed as, well, I'm not thinking well, I'm not smart, I did, at least unconsciously, relate that to, well, maybe I belong in this nut house, whatever that is, because I'm just seeming not catching on to things the way I'd like to. But Marty, I've learned it through life that mental health is largely, the mental part is, how are you thinking? And are you thinking positive or negative thoughts? I've thought a lot about that, and I know there's a lot of stigma attached to that term mental. And I wonder what your thoughts are, Marty. Have you had life experiences that our listeners may gain from to help destigmatize this term mental health?
Ron, I have, and I want to say from the very beginning, the word mental is just not something I like to use because of my experience. My one experience, when I was in the 6th grade, we were all in one big class. And so the school decided they needed to divide up the class. So they started dividing the class. And you knew when your name was called, you were going to the dumb class. And my name was called. So automatically I felt like I'm not smart. I've got a problem. I'm just not smart enough. I'm dumb. I passed into 7th grade, but in 7th grade I didn't do well because I think I had felt I was dumb. So instead of passing to 8th grade, I was on probation to 8th grade. And my mom said, you know what that means? It means if you don't do well, you will go back to the 7th grade. So I worked hard. I passed. I went through high school, graduated, went up to college, and flunked out of college. So here again, that just reinforced that maybe I have a mental problem. I went to work. I married. We traveled with the Air Force. And I finally decided to go back to college, and I graduated from college. But I have always felt like I wasn't smart enough. I couldn't do it, even though I feel like I have had success in jobs and like that. I still feel like there's just something not right, or I have a way of learning and difficult in comprehension sometimes. So I don't like the word mental. It's just the way people think. It's the way they learn. And we all need to be accepting of everybody's learning style and being a help to those that have a different learning style, and be patient with those that have a different learning style and a different way of thinking, because we all think different.
Well, here's where we're going with this, Marty and our listeners, that I believe there is a stigma attached to the term mental health. And what we want to do is help destigmatize that to learn what it really is. Marty and I are passing on some life experiences that have brought for us the wrong inclination, the wrong interpretation of what mental health is. What I want to do is turn this to the positive, that mental health largely is the way we're thinking, that if we largely have negative thoughts about something, about ourselves, about, could be, I can't do, I just don't feel that I'm good enough, any number of these kind of negative thoughts, I want to tell you, Marty, that God has said, and this is a faith-based presentation, God said in Genesis 1:27, God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. He created them. So we're all created in God's image, which I think in part means we have the ability to think rationally. Psalm 139:14 says, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. Jeremiah 29:11 says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Philippians 2:5 says, in your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus. That is to think like Jesus would think. And Jesus doesn't think negative about himself. He doesn't want us to think negative about ourselves. Now, here's the other way that I'm going with this, Marty, and the other aspect I think is very important. There are a lot of people who would say, seek help, seek help. And that's accurate. I think it is accurate. But I want to explain to our listeners that there's some of us, and this is exactly the way I was as a preteen. If you had told me to seek help because of my very low self-image, very low self-confidence, I had driven myself to believe I'm stupid, socially awkward, undateable, and so forth. If you had asked me to seek help, that would have caused me to withdraw even further, because to seek help meant everything I think about myself is true. I am dumb, stupid, socially awkward, and so forth. I would never, on my own, proactively seek help. Here's where I'm going with this, Marty. And our listeners, there are some of us out here that are just like me, that we're not going to seek help because we have such a low self-confidence that we don't want to do something that would affirm how low I think of myself. But here's what I will accept: a person who is willing to work with me, come beside me, develop a relationship, verbally or non-verbally say, Ron, I accept you. I just want to work with you because I see the potential in you. A person who does that, and 4 men did in my life, when the person does that, I'm willing to work with them. I'm willing to accept them, and they're not treating me condescendingly. They fully and totally accept me for who I am. And it's difficult for some of us to engage people like this, to be proactively interactive with, because we don't want to label somebody. We don't want to stigmatize somebody. I don't want to make you feel that you're lesser than what you are. But some of us are not going to verbalize, I feel so bad about myself, I couldn't possibly, if you were to ask me, what's wrong with you? I would have answered, I don't know. And I meant that truly. I don't know. You may know, you may be able to help me through this, but when you ask me what is wrong with you, I'll legitimately tell you, I don't know, because I truly am not able to think into it and think through it. But Marty, I am non-verbally, I am implicitly asking for someone to help me, but I can't verbalize that. I won't. And I feel there are others out here that are doing exactly the same thing. What this ends up happening is, if we don't interact with people, if we happen to note something about a person, I think they have some negative thoughts about themselves, left unattended, that can lead to some devastating consequences. And I know personally of situations where this has happened. Now, my hope, my admonition is we can have the courage, we can have the knowledge, we can have the awareness to want to engage with people. Marty, what are thoughts you have about this? What can we do to inspire, encourage our listeners?
You and I love helping people, and we don't want people to go through what we went through with the low confidence and feeling not so good about ourselves. So I encourage people that have confidence and they know of someone that is going through some low time. And in this time right now, there's a lot of hate. And if you know of someone that needs you, you have confidence and you can help that teenager, you can help that person, reach out to them. I just encourage you to do that, because it is so rewarding when you help others.
Marty, yes, you're very well spoken. Reach out and help others. Marty, I want to encourage every listener to be aware of, spend more time listening than talking. When we interact with people and we're listening, we can pick up on various clues. Again, I want to be very careful. I don't want to label or stigmatize anybody, but I'm listening for different clues. That if you said something that indicates to me what you just said is negative, and if I see a trend in that, I want to engage, and I want to know why you're feeling the way you do. Now, I want to ask you in a way that you don't feel threatened, you don't feel that I'm condescending to you, but rather I just want you to know that I care about you. I want to effectively interact with, and I want to help you through whatever it is you may be thinking of yourself that's causing you to feel that you don't have whatever it is you need to accomplish something. Our Lord clearly has said, I've made you better than what you are thinking of yourself right now. For those of us who have a low opinion of ourselves, a low confidence level, whatever it may be, our Lord clearly says, that is not the way I created you. There is something about your environment, there's something about the way you're living life that has caused you to be this way. One of the things I know for certain is that Scripture says that the devil is seeking those who are weak. He's like a roaring lion, and he will attack those who are vulnerable. And so we know that to be true, Marty. You and I have experienced that in various parts of our lives. We know of people who have become addicted to various things. We know of people who have made some very wrong decisions about some things, but it's largely because they had low thoughts about themselves. We know, would it be fair to say, Marty, that sometimes we just need to up-level our friends, that we need to have accountability partners. You're my principal accountability partner. And if I have a wrong thought about something, you're one of the first ones that will know about it, and you can help me up-level my thinking. Accountability partners. And that is a person, by my standard, is one who shares values, one who cares about you. They want to help advance you. And as you get to know each other and you share values, that person is going to help you through anything and everything. I want to do what I can to encourage our listeners to engage. Please understand, and for the professionals listening to this, I may not be using terms, and I'm likely not using terms you would use. I'm describing my life experience. Marty's describing her life experience. As we sometimes tend to say, please seek help, seek help. Yes, that is what's needed, but please understand there's some of us that will never do that. Because, as I explained before, we're already thinking very low of ourselves. To seek help means that, yep, I'm just affirming that I'm just the lowest that I can possibly be. When in fact, what we need is someone to intervene. And there are some personalities that are such that I will accept you if you accept me, and you are here to help me. And if you do that, you show that to me, then I'll respond very positively to you. But you're the one who has to take action. And my personality may be such that it would be difficult for you to take action with me because you think I may bark at you or try to be very defensive that, no, I don't need help. But there's some of us who have a facade. We did a podcast on the term facade. We're living a life that is overshadowing whatever problems we have. That I'm living a life of a facade, that what I'm displaying to you, the way I talk to you, does not necessarily represent who I really am at my core. In other words, you ask me why I said what I did, you ask me what is wrong, I'm going to give you an answer that is a cover-up. I'm living a life of a facade. And so that's what some of us will do. And we don't know why we're doing it. It's just what feels comfortable at the time. It's what feels best. We will do that. So again, I want to give you my strongest encouragement. Be aware of some of the factors that are with us that if you hear us say something negative about ourselves, you have reason to believe I have a low self-confidence, low self-image, and you see enough of a pattern of this, maybe ask us. Well, just curious, do you jump out of bed in the morning and just think ahead to things you can do, things you accomplish? Or just curious, do you start the day wondering if you have any value? I mean, why even live today? That I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know that anyone who likes me. I don't know where I fit. Where are you on that spectrum? And as you engage a person and you listen to them, listen to their responses, you can discern some of the things that are going on in a person's mind. And when you hear enough negative things and you are discerning enough to know that, no, I detect a pattern of this, engage in that person's life. And it may take them weeks to understand themselves and feel they can trust you enough to discuss some of the things that are bothering them. It's going to take some time, and it's maybe going to be inconvenient on your time schedule, but be willing to do that. And when you are, you can gain a friend, and you can help a person very possibly steer them away from making a very fateful decision. I know of some people who have taken their lives, I believe, because underlying the facade was some overpowering trait in their life that became dominant, and they chose the action they did. And this is one thing I just do not want to be a part of if I have the intuition that I just sense there's something. So I want to engage in that person's life. Marty, let's continue this with another episode. There are plenty of biblical examples of mental health that I think are very useful to our listeners. And let's highlight some of those examples. And just through these examples, I think we can help people be aware. Again, I think sometimes we can project a facade. And I think there's we have some biblical examples of facades that you just experience a huge victory. This ought to be a time when you celebrate, but actually it's not. That we have exactly the other reaction. And so we need to be able to discern those kind of things in people's lives. And when we do, we're going to help advance people. Marty?
I think we can give some ideas of what people might be going through, that if it's a friend of yours, you'll recognize. If it's a family member, you'll recognize they might be going through something. So in our next podcast, we can give some ideas. We can talk about how to overcome if you're going through some things.
Awareness in helping a person overcome. Let's join in the next episode where we're talking some very specific biblical examples, the purpose of which is to help us identify others who may be going through something that what the Bible describes. Let's join together, Marty, and look forward to the next episode.
Okay.
What are your thoughts about mental health? Very interested in knowing what observations you have, what experiences, possibly personal experiences you've had. What about those within your circle of influence? What have you seen? What have you found to be helpful with people to discern those that have the attributes of needing help? What is your thought about mental health? Marty and I have experienced, as we told you, that mental health sometimes incorrectly connotes, we thought, a mental disability. You're just not smart. Any number of things that indicate that there's something very wrong with you. And I am of the opinion that the mental health in this context, and I'm not trying to marginalize in any way greater forms of mental health that are effective and are dealing with other people, but I am talking about the well people that have a pattern of negative thoughts. I think those are the people that are most applicable to the term mental health as it applies to this podcast and my experience. I'm very interested in learning about those within your circle of influence, any experiences you've personally had that involve mental health. How did you work through that? And did you seek help? Did you get help from a person who just became a friend to you, just established a genuine relationship? I'm very interested in what your thoughts are about that, so that possibly we can better relate to those who need help, but as I was, too reluctant to ever ask for help for reasons that were not well-founded. We do know that some people need professional coaching, and there's some negative thoughts, there's some habit patterns that are deeply ingrained in a person, that they are fixated, so to speak, on the past. It's difficult to get over some things that have been said to or about them, and those thoughts, given the right circumstances, can become dominant in their life. Marty and I are certified personal performance coaches through John Maxwell. We have had podcasts with other people who are certified life coaches. There are many people who have the ability to help people through various circumstances in life, and it's a matter of getting help from these people. Contact either Marty or me, and we want to help you with a complimentary session to determine if we are the right fit, the right people to help you through any challenges you may have. I hope you feel comfortable to reach out to us if we don't know you. And in the meantime, those within our circle of influence, we do want to work with those and establish a very meaningful relationship, such that if we were to see any traits of mental health that do need work, that we can effectively engage with that person and never talk condescendingly to them, but be available to help them in a very positive way. We hope that you'll be willing to share this podcast with others. We hope that we can warrant a 5-star rating. We hope that you will share this with those in your Facebook friends, those on your email list, and help us to help others who need help with mental health, and help assure them that the mental health is not connoted in the context of wellness with a learning disability, but rather we want to help you develop the friends, we want to help you develop the right culture, the right atmosphere for positive thinking, and when that happens, we are all going to be better. Contact me at 410-586-1875 or Ron at thecooperculture.com or Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, at thecooperculture.com. We look forward to interacting with you. Let's share experiences, and let's reach out to others and advance them so that everybody within our circle of influence can have a very positive attitude about the future, because we truly believe the best is yet to come.